In a disappointing season for Clemson, senior Dale Davis has been the pillar of strength. He's the ACC's top shot blocker and the nation's 5th leading rebounder. But Davis may find his match in Wake Forest freshman Rodney Rogers, one of the country's top newcomers. It's Rogers versus Davis. Wake Forest Clemson next. And greetings to all you hardcore ACC basketball fans who aren't necessarily concerned with the NFL playoffs. Wake Forest taking on Clemson today. Two teams very hungry for a conference victory. Wake Forest coming in at 6-4. They still start 5 underclassmen as Dave Odom tries to rebuild the program. Clemson, the regular season champs in the ACC of a year ago, 0-3. They are desperate for a victory today on their home court. You won't find these two guys struggling, though. Rodney Rogers, a major recruit for Wake Forest, a parade All-American, comes in, look, 17 points a game as a freshman. Dale Davis has been the story for Clemson so far this season. He misses the absence of Eldon Campbell, though. The Twin Towers are no longer there. Davis has to carry the load alone. You won't find either of these teams near the top of the ACC. Virginia on top at 2-0. And look, in the early going of the conference, only 3 teams still unbeaten at this very early stage. Georgia Tech coming off a lopsided loss to Duke at 1-1, and there is Clemson in danger of dropping well behind the pack if they can't come up with a home court victory today against Wake Forest. 2 other ACC games to keep your eyes on today. Duke taking on Maryland. They are 1-1, are the Blue Devils, coming off that big victory over Tech against Maryland. They've won 12 out of 13 in this series, have the Blue Devils. Last year at Cole Fieldhouse, 114, 111 in overtime, Duke won. Also, Carolina taking on Virginia, number 5 against number 13. The Cavs won 2 out of 3 games in this series last year, but Carolina has warmed up this season. They've won 10 straight ball games. Tip-off coming up in just a couple of minutes. As we go to break, though, take a look at the leading rebounders in the ACC, right where he belongs. Dale Davis for the 3rd consecutive year, number 1.
International Airport has a deal for you. Budget satisfies the customer's needs by providing low mileage, almost new cars, which means Budget saves you money. Budget car sales customers count on saving thousands while they let someone else lose the big chunk of depreciation. If you would like to keep most of your money and you'd like to have your cake and eat it too, come to Budget car sales at the Dayton International Airport.
Save your money, buy at Budget.
Remember, if you spend more, you're over budget.
Bryant Brothers half-price carpet sale. Bryant Brothers and Cabin Craft Carpets have teamed up for blockbuster savings on DuPont certified Stainmaster carpet. Right now, save up to 50% on the carpet that protects against common food and beverage stains. Bryant Brothers will throw in free padding and installation and give you 12 months to pay the same as gas. For blockbuster savings on the Cabin Craft carpet that's certified and warranted by DuPont, forget the others. Go to Bryant Brothers.
Yes, a lot of history in that Georgetown-Villanova series. Both teams trying to regain their balance. It's part of Big Monday on ESPN. Cincinnati and South Carolina, an early tip-off in the Metro. Both teams coming off losses. The Gamecocks ranked number 21, but they lost at home to Southern Miss. An important game for them. They have to win at home against Cincinnati, and there's Bob Huggins, Cincinnati head coach, preparing for a physical game. In the early going, JoJo English fakes the jumper, then takes it in the lane. Bearcats trying to hang tough. Herbert Jones going down the baseline for the jam, and in the early going, the Gamecocks have a 12-point lead, 25-13. The Bearcats have never won in 7 meetings in Columbia. Missouri Valley Conference, an early tip-off here, and Drake and Bradley are deadlocked at 16 in the first half. The Braves have beaten Drake 12 out of the last 15 meetings. Tip-off for Wake Forest Clemson coming back in just a couple of minutes. We'll be going down to ACC land. Clemson try to get a home court victory against the Demon Deacons.
The airline that brings you 10 countries across Asia and the Pacific now bridges the Atlantic to Europe. With flights to Frankfurt and to Paris. Come fly the airline that spans more than half the world. United. Come fly the friendly skies.
In American business, there is an award bestowed each year upon a select group of companies. Among the 10 recipients this year, AT&T. The award? The San Francisco Examiner's Golden Turkey for the worst advertising of 1990. We at MCI are glad to have this opportunity to give wider publicity for this award.
Take your average family trip, but take it in a not-so-average family car, the new Volkswagen Passat. The Passat wagon comes with four-wheel disc brakes. It's got plenty of room for your family, and best of all, Fahrvergnügen, which means you might even forget you're driving a family car.
Are we there yet?
Well, maybe not. Fahrvergnügen, it's what makes a car a Volkswagen. Nice logo, too.
The suspense is over. Bud Light has signed top draft pick Bud Dry to a long-term contract. To celebrate, the team has released a music video.
When the game is over, we'll stand tall. The one life beer that outshines them all. And now that we got this superstar rookie, it's our turn to do the Bud Bowl Boogie.
Yeah, that's all for now. I'm Chris B. We'll see you at Bud Bowl 3. This year, things won't be the same because everything else is just a good.
ESPN's presentation of NCAA basketball, Wake Forest versus Clemson, is brought to you by Volkswagen. Experience the European driving experience we call Fahrvergnügen, only in a Volkswagen. And by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. 6-4 Wake Forest team on the road taking on a Clemson team at 8-5. Wake Forest in the middle of a mini road swing in the ACC. They lost a home game to Colorado of all people. That's certainly a cause for concern. Demon Deacons thought they were going to be improved this year. Clemson at one point this season has started 3 freshmen. It's a rebuilding year for Cliff Ellis. Coming up at halftime of this ballgame, we'll have some scores and highlights. It's a busy Saturday, as well as a look at Dean Smith, a man who has just recently reached a milestone, win number 700, joining an exclusive club. Time to go to Clemson now. Bob Rathburn and Dan Bonner, Little John Coliseum.
Welcome back to Little John Coliseum in Clemson, South Carolina. I'm Bob Rathman along with Dan Bonner. Dan will see 2 of the really outstanding up-front people in this conference. One a senior in Dale Davis from Clemson, and a rising star in Wake Forest freshman Rodney Rogers.
You're really going to get a look at the old and the new.
Let's take a look at today's starting lineups and some changes for these 2 teams. The Wake Forest Demon Deacons have inserted Robert Seiler into the starting lineup, replacing Anthony Tucker. Anthony's been struggling somewhat in his field goal shooting of late. For the Clemson Tigers, they're making a change, too, to combat some of that Wake Forest size. Colby Brown at 6'8" moves into the forward spot, and they move Steve Harris from a wing position into that 2-guard spot.
You don't really think about the Clemson Tigers as being small, Bob, but they really have been starting a 6'4" guy at the forward spot and a 6'7" guy at the power forward spot to go along with Dale Davis. But by getting Colby Brown at 6'8" in there, they really do increase their size. Robert Seiler's been having a very good year coming off the bench for Wake Forest. Dave Odom, who you get a look at, is squatting down there. His back to us, is really hoping that Seiler can carry that into this ball game.
The Clemson Tigers come to Little John today at 8-5, 0-3 in ACC play, and there's the head coach, Cliff Ellis, who's been named the coach of the year in 3 different conferences, including the ACC. Looking to get his ball club going in conference play. Wake Forest is 6-4 overall. They've lost 2 straight and stand 1-1, losing at Georgia Tech last Sunday after opening their conference season for the first time since 1983 with a victory over the Maryland Terrapins. Here's the opening tip, won by the Deeks, and we're underway from South Carolina.
Clemson Tigers starting out in a man-to-man defense.
Chris King to Robert Seiler. 2 major knee operations on the left knee. In it goes to King, and he scores. The junior from Newton Grove, North Carolina, opens the scoring. 2-0 Wake Forest.
And you've got 2 freshmen in the backcourt, so Wake Forest starts out with a little bit of pressure.
And a whistle stops play underneath. Lenny Wirtz spotting an infraction against the Tigers. Somebody caught holding, maybe Colby Brown. Threw an elbow, did Colby, and he picks up the personal.
Now the foul's not going to be against Colby Brown, it's against Chris King. Clemson is going to keep the basketball. Brown was trying to set a screen. King gave him a pretty good shot with an elbow right in front of Lenny Wirtz.
And it goes to Harris. Good pump fake, but the rejection by Rodney Rogers.
Well, it was an excellent pump fake inside, Bob, except he fooled 2 guys with the pump fake. There were 2 other guys who were standing there, one of whom was Rogers, and he went up with the shot and knocked it out of bounds.
Here's Dale Davis, guarded by Medlin.
Davis is really going to draw a lot of attention when he gets the basketball. Wake starts out in the man-to-man defense. Now we're going to get that illegal screen. Ricky Jones trying to set a pick on Derek McQueen moving. Cliff Ellis to get a look at right there. If this was a 9-to-5 job, he'd have probably called in sick today. He's really, says he's suffering from the flu. Sounded like it before the basketball game. He's all plugged up. Only thing that's going to make him feel better is a Clemson Tiger victory.
Robert Seiler working for the Deeks. This is McQueen calling the play.
Clemson Tigers overall have some pretty good quickness, which helps them on the defensive end of the court. A lot of teams shoot poorly against Clemson. Seiler misses the first 3-pointer.
He's been shooting that 3 very well, 47% coming into the game today. 2-0 Wake Forest.
Looking inside for Davis.
And it goes right into him.
And you can see what happens when he gets it, Bob. There's 3 guys all around him. McQueen just turned and left Burks and went straight to Dale Davis.
He'll go to the line after getting his own miss.
One of the things that happens if you're going to send everybody over to guard Dale Davis, and here's 3 guys coming, is there isn't anybody really available to block out Colby Brown right there, who's going to get the ball. He's going to get the foul call as well.
The personal goes on Medlin. And Dale Davis to the free throw line, where this year he has been a 62% foul shooter.
And you saw one of the reasons why right there.
A little wide to the right.
High and wide right. Ball 1.
Dale Davis averaging a league-high 13.2 rebounds. 7th in the ACC in scoring. Goes 1 for 2, and the Tigers are on the board.
His last effort on the board is very typical. He's sort of out of the play. Colby Brown touches the basketball, but it's Davis who ends up getting it in his hands.
Simon.
Oh, what a nice
defense by Dale Davis.
That's a pretty good idea to work on Davis. He's matched up against Rodney Rogers. Try to put the ball in Rogers' hands. See if you can put some pressure on Davis on the offensive end of the court.
Burks for 3. Got it.
Nothing will help Dale Davis more than if his teammates can open it up a little bit on the perimeter. McQueen is not going to be able to turn and just leave Burks if he's going to demonstrate the ability to hit that shot.
Rodney Rogers has not had his hands on the ball at the offensive end yet today. He's coming out on the near wing. Has it right now. Working on Davis. This is McQueen around to Seiler. Medlin throws a pretty good pick. Phil had it coming back his way. Deeks recovered.
Job's not done when you set the pick.
And a foul called on Dale Davis.
Now the foul I think is going to be against Ricky Jones. What a nice quick move across by Rogers here. Davis, he gets Davis on his left side, moves to his right. Jones is going to reach in right there. Pretty good play by Ricky Jones if Rogers would have dribbled the basketball, but what a powerful move to the basket. Getting a look at Dale Davis right there. Foul call, however, was against Ricky Jones for reaching in.
And his second. The Durham Bull, Rodney Rogers, to the free throw line. 6'7" freshman. Hits the foul shot. He's hit 2 out of every 3 so far this year at the line. Leads all ACC freshmen in scoring at 17 points per game. Hits them both, and this game's tied at 4. They try to break Jones long. Diggs knock it away through the hands of Medlin. Bill recovers. Deacons with the basketball.
Good recovery by Chris King.
King stops and pops. Tipped, controlled. Seiler got a hand on it. Now Rogers fights for the basketball. Still loose and picked up by Colby Brown. Here's Burks, and that's going to be an offensive foul called on Burks. Cliff Ellis didn't like that call at all as Burks picks up his first personal foul.
McQueen doing a nice job getting himself set. Tried to get in the path. That's one of those calls that's just impossible. You like it if you're Dave Odom. You don't like it if you're Cliff Ellis. Bang, bang call right there.
Seiler pops it in. The senior from Siler City. More Deacon pressure, and Burks with a nifty behind the back foot. Drops the ball. Rogers picks it up. Deacons have the numbers. Brown trying to take the charge. No whistle, and the tip in by Rogers. Now Ellis is really screaming. For Wake Forest.
Colby Brown did everything he could do. He just didn't get the call in that situation. Wake Forest playing pretty well the last couple of trips on the offensive end.
Harris losing the handle, getting it back. Colby Brown misses. Medlin and Davis fighting for position. And it's going to be on Phil Medlin for trying to fend him off. That's going to be a long day's work ahead of Phil Medlin.
Boy, it sure is. Medlin did a nice job getting a body on Dale Davis, but he doesn't get the call. Now here's Brown trying to get set. Rogers sort of pulls up right at the end. That's what Cliff Ellis is complaining about, and he's still complaining about that particular call. It's not going to do his flu very well.
Taking a charge on Rodney Rogers is like taking a charge on a freight train. Here's Sean Tyson having to lay one home. The senior from Baltimore averages 11 points per game off the bench.
Boy, and he gives him quick offense off the bench, too. What a scorer. David Young also in the ballgame.
Seiler connects on a three-pointer. He's at 47% of them, ranking second in the league and scoring at 11 points per game. Just an incredible story for Robert Seiler of persistence and fighting through two major left knee operations. Davis just takes Medlin under the bucket and lays it in.
Tom Wise actually in the game for Medlin has got 2 fouls, but Davis is a load to try to guard in there.
Trelawney Owens, a 6'8 freshman into the Wake Forest lineup, and this is he out of the corner. Brown rebounding. Now David Young. Brown coming down the lane. And a foul called on Clemson.
It's an awful tough pass that Brown tried to make right there, and the result is a foul against Dale Davis. Colby Brown operating in the fast break, had a lane to the basket, elected to try to dump it off to Dale Davis. Davis gets the foul.
A timeout on the floor here at Little John Coliseum with 15-13 remaining in the opening half. The Clemson Tigers trailing Wake Forest by 3.
Hey, Mrs. Susan Amato of Teaneck, New Jersey writes, I really want a Volkswagen Jetta, but what exactly does Farfignugan look like? Well, Mrs. Amato, did you see it? Farfignugan. It's what makes a car, a Volkswagen.
Today, more people than ever are getting a kick out of this hot shot. Interstate batteries hit the road fast with all the cranking power and reserve energy you need for even the worst curves in the weather. And Interstate has twice as many dealers than any other battery company in America, so you're never left stranded. For an Interstate battery dealer near you,
All you got to do is call 1-800-CRANK-IT. Get the power back goes on and on and on, yeah.
Before they could walk, they wanted to dance. Before they could talk, they wanted to sing. But they needed a lot of heart and desire before they could get to Broadway and make it on a chorus line. Now this Broadway legend is back and on tour. But if you want tickets, get to the box office early and get out your Visa card. Because this show won't be in town long, and it won't take American Express. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
Bob Rath and Dan Bonner back at Little John Coliseum. It's 11-8 in favor of the Wake Forest team at Deacons. Wake has hit 1 3-pointer so far, 4 for 8 from the floor in the early going. Clemson also with a 3-pointer to its credit. The Tigers are 3 of 5.
You know, Bob, one thing that's a little bit different about Wake Forest this year, and we've noticed it here early in the ball game as Dave Odom has substituted rather liberally, is that something that hasn't occurred too recently is that Wake Forest actually has a bench. They've got some good players. They're 7, 8 deep on the bench, and that's a luxury that Dave Odom hasn't known.
Anthony Tucker playing in the backcourt for the Deacons along with Derek McQueen.
And with Tucker in the ball game, 2-3 zone defense for the Clemson Tigers.
Seiler. Rebound to Tyson. And what a great play by Seiler to knock that away and negate a Clemson break.
Tyson really telegraphed that pass, but you're right. Seiler was right on the floor after the ball, very nearly stole it. Wake Forest stays in the man-to-man.
Tried to lob it into Davis. He's come away with it. This is Tucker.
They're really collapsing all over Davis inside.
McQueen outside.
Oh!
And Davis high to claim the rebound. 7th in the country in rebounding.
He gets anywhere close, you can just forget it.
Burks, a long bomb. Wake Forest by 3. Rogers. Great turnaround shot with Davis on it.
And 2 other guys coming to help. That was a very nice looking turnaround jump shot.
McQueen trying to reach in and knock it away. Tyson over Rogers. Stick back up and in. For the Tigers, Eric Burks, his 2nd bucket of the game at 5 points.
McQueen left to double team Davis out at half court, and Burks slid inside, and McQueen was never able to find him, so he was available for that tip. Clemson not really showing much patience on offense, Bob. It's been 1 shot, 1 pass, and then a shot. I think if you're going to free Davis inside, you're going to have some more movement and more passing than that on the offensive end. Dave Odom motioning his team back out now, trying to set the offense again against the 2-3 zone. 14 seconds left on the shot clock.
Tucker will take it and miss it, but Rogers is there. And claiming the rebound, Steve Harris for the Tigers. Burks quickly ahead to Tyson, but Rogers picks off the pass.
That pass just wasn't there at all.
McQueen on the baseline, Seiler. Robert with 7 to lead all Deacon scorers. Wake coming with pressure, leading by 5.
The turnovers for Clemson, Bob, to this point have really hurt, and if they were playing tennis, they talk about them being unforced turnovers as Tucker gets the foul against Harris.
First on Anthony, 4th team. 12:34 remaining. Cliff Ellis and the Tigers trailing by 5. The Tigers have been just that at Little John Coliseum over the past few years. Virginia winning it here on Tuesday night, snapped a 14-game conference home winning streak.
That's what we were talking about with the turnovers. Clemson with 7 of them.
Young inside, Davis. Rogers rebounding.
Clemson really not getting any work on the offensive boards at all. They've had 1 stick back, but basically it's been 1 shot, then go back and play defense.
Rogers had position inside, but they couldn't get in the pass. Burks to the bucket. Eric has come on to score 7 first-half points, and the Tigers are within 3.
He's been very impressive. And what you have to like about the particular play that he made that last time was he recognized an opportunity. Wake Forest still getting organized defensively. He just beat Childress to the basket, and there wasn't any help forthcoming until it was too late.
Eric is from Atlanta, went to McNair High School, and averaged 28 points per game last year, and a very effective outside shooter. He's already nailed 1 3 today. Tyson the offensive rebound. And Burke takes the 3 and misses. Wise the rebound. 15-12. Deacons by 3. Rogers inside. Floats one. Left it short. Davis the board. Excuse me. That's Burke's the rebound. David Young will take a 3. And hit it. That's a part of his game it's been lacking, Dan. I know the Tigers are happy to see that one go down.
And that's a part of his game that Clemson has really been relying on that just hasn't been there. Burks is now going to pick up the foul. Cliff Ellis telling him he's got to think out there. Either that or he's trying to clear out his ears. I can't tell which.
A timeout on the floor at Little John Coliseum. 11:21 left. Dave Odom's Wake Forest Demon Deacons tied with Clemson at 15.
It's John Carlson on the phone from Los Angeles again.
Carlson? He's from Apple Computers ad agency. They want to do a commercial about us.
Would we get to be in the commercial?
No, because we can't do it.
Why not?
Over the past 15 months, we've doubled our productivity. We've cut development time by 1/3.
That's what I mean.
Why would we go on national TV and tell our competition exactly how we did it?
It's a good point.
Take your average family trip, but take it in a not-so-average family car, the new Volkswagen Passat. The Passat wagon comes with 4-wheel disc brakes. It's got plenty of room for your family, and best of all, Fahrvergnügen, which means you might even forget you're driving a family car.
Are we there yet?
Well, maybe not. Fahrvergnügen, it's what makes a car, a Volkswagen. Nice logo, too.
From the producer of The Hunt for Red October, from the best-selling novel by Stephen Kuntz, comes the epic adventure of men who took a stand for what they knew was right.
Get in your airplane, sometimes you don't come back.
Danny Glover.
All we really got is each other.
Willem Dafoe.
We never broke the faith, amigo.
Brad Johnson.
We're just out there!
Flight of the Intruder, rated PG-13. Starts Friday, January 18th at theaters everywhere.
One score to update. They've reached halftime in Columbia. South Carolina by 14 over Cincinnati. They led by as many as 20 in the first half. JoJo English has 14. At halftime, a look at Dean Smith, plus scores and highlights. Back now to Clemson.
Bob Rathman, Dan Bonner back at Little John. 15 aside. 11:21 remaining in the opening half. And the shooting so far, the Deacons have hit 6 out of 15. Clemson 6 out of 12, and you see the percentages.
Virginia was the first team in 48 games to shoot better than 50% against the Clemson Tigers, so they do a pretty good job on the defensive end of the court. Here they're in a 2-3 zone.
Chris King. Offensive rebound for Anthony Tucker, and a block for Harris. Tucker again, and Harris again reaching in, but this time picks up the personal.
Tucker really gives Wake Forest a valuable weapon against the zone. He stands out there on the wing. At 6'8", he gets a good run at the basket. Nobody in the zone blocks him out. You can see a big, powerful guy coming inside. Harris with the block shot, but then we're going to get the foul the second time around against David Young. One of the problems with playing his own defense, particularly a team that plays a lot of man-to-man, is it's tough to get your block-out responsibilities down in his own defense, and particularly nobody's thinking about a guy standing out on the wing because most of the time they aren't 6'8" and they don't explode to the board.
Anthony Tucker played for 3 different college coaches his first 3 years. John Thompson, Bob Stack, and Dave Odom. It's the first 2 foul shots. 17-15 the score. With Wake Forest taking a 2-point lead. 10:50 remaining first half.
Stan King, number 51 in the ball game for Wake Forest.
King, a 7-foot freshman from New York.
Wake Forest now, zone defense.
Young from downtown. Tipped out, it belongs to Clemson. No, excuse me. Yeah, they are going to give the ball to Clemson. Here's Robert Seiler coming in for Anthony Tucker.
One thing to think about for Clemson, their best player in this first half was Eric Burks, and he's now on the bench with 2 personal fouls. Handling the ball is Jimmy Mason, number 10.
Harris a 3.
Harris not really known as a shooter.
McQueen. This is Rogers for 3. And the ball belongs to Wake.
Wake Forest certainly has not been shy about taking the 3-point shots. Just about everybody out there has launched one.
And unsuccessful. 1 for 7 from 3-point range so far. Phil Medlin back in. He's playing with 2 personals. And Stan King goes out.
Dale Davis out of the ball game for the Clemson Tigers, so I guess Dave Odoms figures it's safe to put Medlin back in. This is a very small Clemson lineup on the court.
Seiler a 3-pointer. He's the man who's hit the 2 threes that Wake has today. Robert with 10.
Well, of course, that's one of the keys to success from behind the 3-point line, Bob, is getting the 3-point shots from the proper people. Wake Forest playing a 3-2 zone. McQueen is going to try to drop down in the middle of the zone depending upon where the ball goes.
This is Jimmy Mason, number 10, at the point for Clemson. Harris bottled up on the baseline. Now Mason a 3-pointer. Everybody trying to get into the act. Here's Medlin getting it ahead to Chris King. Rogers floats it into King. Rodney gets it to Medlin. And a rejection for Jones. Rogers stripped away by Tyson. And out of bounds to Clemson.
Boy, that's good quick hands by Sean Tyson. Rogers was going to the basket again without dribbling the basketball. Here, Medlin, you guys just can't turn around against people that are athletes like the Clemson Tigers. Now watch Rogers. This is a great cut to the basket. He's never really able to get the ball up on the board as Tyson gets the hand in there and blocks it away. Davis and Burks back in the ball game for the Clemson Tigers. Bob, we were talking about everybody getting in the act in terms of shooting 3-point shots. If you're Wake Forest, you'd have to be glad that Clemson is shooting them. The Tigers only shooting 30% from behind that line on the year.
To Tyson, asking for a bounce pass.
And he's absolutely right. You fake up and you pass down. It's awful hard for a guy on the run who's coming out to the corner to try to guard the corner. Most of them come running out with their hands up. Nobody comes running out with their hands down to stop the bounce pass.
John Tyson. Dale Davis, known for his offensive rebounding. Rogers got a piece of it. The Tigers maintain possession.
That's nice board work.
Out of the corner, Andre Beauvais connects.
Beauvais has started the last couple of games.
King knocked away by Tyson. And Sean feeds in the middle. And it's knocked away by the Dukes.
Now, Tyson should have followed his own advice right there in terms of practicing what one preaches. A bounce pass across probably results in a layup.
Starting for Wake Forest, number 31, Anthony Tucker.
Anthony Tucker returns to the Wake lineup, and Chris King goes out. There's Tucker, the junior from McKinley Tech in D.C. Tipped away, and finally McQueen with a big lead for Anthony Tucker. His first field goal, Wake Forest now leading by 5.
Really not a very good decision on that inbounds pass, throwing it into a lot of traffic. 3-2 zone for the defense.
David Young, deep in the corner. That's a 3-pointer, his second of the game. He had 4 3-pointers and 4 tries against Virginia Tuesday.
Half-court trap by the Clemson Tigers. Now they're going to drop back into the 2-3 zone. Got to be very aware of Rogers on the inside in this particular defense, and you've got to be conscious of Tucker out there on the wing.
Baseline, Medlin, yes.
Very nice ball handling, passing by the Wake Forest Demon defense. Nobody again blocked out Tucker. He was in perfect rebounding position, just slid in there from his position out at the top of the key.
Inside, that time they got it to Davis for the slam.
catch.
24-22, the Deacon lead is 2. Wake Forest again attacks the Clemson zone. McQueen getting a little penetration. Back out to Tucker. Rebounded by Tyson. Now, Tyson has really given this Tiger team a lift since coming into the game. Alley-oop, Davis caught it. Now goes up. Nope, Lenny Wirtz is going to call what? The ball hit the rim, and I think he may be calling basket interference for taking it off the rim.
I'm not sure what that call is, Bob. The ball did hit the rim, but it wasn't in the cylinder. I'm not sure what Lenny Wirtz just called on that particular play.
I think he's saying he took it off the rim and out of the cylinder. Cliff Ellis disagrees. From Little John Coliseum, the score 24-22.
International Airport has a deal for you. Budget satisfies the customer's needs by providing low mileage, almost new cars, which means budget saves you money. Budget car sales customers count on saving thousands while they let someone else lose the big chunk of depreciation. If you would like to keep most of your money and you'd like to have your cake and eat it too, come to Budget Car Sales at the Dayton International Airport.
Save your money, buy it budget.
Remember, if you spend more, you're over budget.
Bryant Brothers half-price carpet sale. Bryant Brothers and Cabin Craft Carpets have teamed up for blockbuster savings on DuPont certified Stainmaster carpet. Right now, save up to 50% on the carpet that protects against common food and beverage stains. Bryant Brothers will throw in free padding and installation and give you 12 months to pay the same as cash. For blockbuster savings on the Cabin Craft carpet that's certified and warranted by DuPont, forget the others. Go to Bryant Brothers.
Christian Okoye is tough to tackle, but no one tackles a tough NFL story better than the comprehensive Emmy Award-winning NFL Game Day. Now on Saturdays and Sundays on ESPN. Georgetown's Dikembe Mutombo tries to block Villanova's upset attempt. Then catch some Hoosier hysteria as Damon Bailey leads Indiana against Purdue. All part of a big Monday triple header live on ESPN.
Here's a look at that last play, and Davis will end up with the ball. Let's see what happens here.
Well, as he catches the ball, see, it's not up in the cylinder. It's right up against the rim. It's not on top of the rim. He sort of caught it on the underneath side of the rim. I don't know. I've never seen that signal before. He did not single jump ball.
The word from the storage table now, we understand, is traveling. And that is the reason the ball is going over to Wake Forest. 6:34 left in the first half, and 24-22, Wake Forest leading Clemson.
We were so intent on watching what was happening up, we never been paying attention to Beatty. Very well made it, traffic. It's like a box and one right now.
Seiler. Tipped. Nearly won the bucket. Boving runs it down in the corner for the Tigers.
Young was matched up one-on-one against Seiler, and if that's what he's trying to do, that was a pretty easy shot for Seiler against that particular defense.
Boving gets it back out to Burks.
That's good defense by Seiler.
Davis. Forward. Tom Wise belly up against it.
Well, Dale Davis is going to catch the ball that close to the basket, have time to dribble and turn without any defensive pressure. He's going to score all day long. Pretty good move by Cliff Ellis with that trap. It's gotten his defense to be a little bit more active. That zone was sort of standing around, and sometimes zones tend to do that. So Cliff Ellis puts on the little half-court trap, and as a result, his team's slightly more intense on the defensive end of the court.
Derek McQueen.
15 seconds on the shot clock.
Now the Deeks will get one last chance to run the offense here. Lob to King, and of course will take the shot. We've got a foul called after the shot on Boving. Clemson.
Boving trying to block out Chris King. Somebody told him, hey, even though you're a guard out there, got to block out, so he knocked King down.
The announcers for this game selected and compensated by Raycom Sports and Entertainment and JP Sports, and the use of this broadcast without the express permission of Raycom and JP Sports is prohibited.
Team foul number 7 against the Clemson Tigers. So Chris King is going to go to the line to get the 1-on-1 opportunity.
Randolph Childress, a freshman from Clinton, Maryland, has come in for the Deacs. Here's Chris King, second team All-ACC in the preseason. Leads the team at 17.3 points per game.
Bob, I understand that foul was called against Tyson. So that makes much more sense. Tyson knocking Chris King down than Bovin. Don't expect those little guys to do things like that.
Second foul shot good for Chris. He's got 4, and the Deacon lead is 2. Clemson taking a look at the pressure. They've got to start thinking 10 as Burks runs it up the left wing. Underneath, Tucker picks off the pass. Childress. Tucker drives in. Clemson looking to tie with a 2-pointer, take the lead with a 3-pointer. Davis, there's the double team. McQueen the triple team. And out of the corner, left alone to hit it, Andre Beauvain, his second bucket.
It's going to be awfully difficult to triple team Dale Davis if Beauvain and Burks and Young are going to hit that 3-point shot.
Chris King and Tyson.
Tyson's really done the job, Bob, not only offensively, but with his rebound.
His 4th rebound in the first half. Tigers can take the lead.
That's a tough pass. Beauvain threw that baby right on the floor.
Tucker on the wing, and a great steal by David Young. In the middle to Burks, to Tyson.
What a good decision by Young to get the ball in the middle. That's where you want it to go. Here's this half-court trap again.
The fans of Little John are getting excited. The Tigers have taken the lead. Chris King for 3, and the Deacons go right back in front. King has hit 50% of his 3-pointers this year.
It's one way to quiet everybody down.
Burks gets bumped and travels. Changes. Rodney Rogers back for the Deacs. Colby Brown for Clemson when we come back in just a moment. With the score, Wake Forest 29, Clemson 28. We'll return to Little John after these messages.
I could take a taxi.
No, don't worry, Dad. I'll drive you.
Total safety? I suppose we could all stay home or ride around in M1 tanks. But we're working on practical solutions.
Honey, we're never going to make it.
Dad will make it.
Analog brakes, standard equipment on more and more of our cars. Rain or snow, you can come to a nice clean stop.
You build someone a safer car, you get yourself a good night's sleep.
Well, we made it.
Do it all the time.
How do I know where to get my brakes done right?
Come to Midas. You get a lot of value for the price, and you get something else. Peace of mind. Knowing you get a thorough inspection by Midas-trained experts and a written estimate up front. Knowing every brake shoe and pad is guaranteed for as long as you own your car, and knowing the job will be done right. That's why more people come to us for brakes, knowing that nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
Good times roll with the clean, fresh taste of Bud Light. It won't fill you up, never lets you down.
The Clemson Tigers and the Wake Forest Demon Deacons battling here at Little John Coliseum. 29-28 the score with Wake Forest on top. Clemson, Dan, has shot 57% from the floor, but that has been offset by their 12 turnovers. Dale Davis has scored 7 so far in the first half.
You're absolutely right, Bob. Clemson 12 of 21, but Wake Forest, you can see there was 7 more opportunities at the basket. They've made the most of them, and they actually lead in the ball game. Can't give that ball away. What a pass.
Rogers just missed, but there's Phil Medlin to tip it in.
Forest has gotten some opportunities at offensive rebounds. Since Clemson has gone to that zone, they've missed a couple, but that time Medlin with a very effective tip.
David Young.
That's a long shot.
He's taken some. Here is Seiler to the bucket. What a move, lays it in.
It's amazing that he can do that after those knee operations.
He was a fantastic football player in high school and had big-time opportunities collegiately in that sport. Beauvain in and out, and here comes Seiler.
Good block out by Wake Forest.
Rogers, soft touch off the window. Rodney with 8.
And Clemson once again showing a little bit of impatience on the offensive end of the court, and Wake Forest taking advantage of it.
Now the Deacs fall back into the zone.
Clemson hasn't really blocked out well in the zone defense, but for the most part, Wake Forest has. That last time, there was no white shirts around the ball. Well, you see Rogers drop in there to cover up Davis. That's really a nice play, and there's a good block out once again.
Seiler. Anthony Tucker, pump faking, and Kobe Brown knocks it away. Tigers with 1:35 remaining in the half, trailing by 7. An important possession for the men of Cliff Ellis. Tipped away and another Tiger turnover.
That pass just is not there.
Seiler quickly to the basket, to the trailing Childress. Back to Seiler. And Beauvain knocked away by Rogers, but Rodney had to foul to do it. Picks up his first.
Big guys cannot make a living trying to steal the ball from guards. Even if they take it, it looks suspicious to the referees, and so a foul is going to get called. Big guys have to get their fouls knocking somebody on the floor, not those little kind of cheap ones like that.
Wake Forest last won in Little John Coliseum in 1984. Leading by 7, Tiger basketball, and 70 seconds to go in the half.
Dave Odom wanted to get Rogers out of the basketball game just before halftime, but was not able to do so.
Long rebound comes to Beauvain. Andre with 6, the freshman from Columbia. And Beauvain with a steal. 46 seconds in the half, 40 seconds on the shot clock. Tipped away, and Tucker with a steal.
How many unforced errors by the Clemson Tigers, Bob?
That is the game clock that you see. The shot clock has been turned off. The Deacs will play for the final shot.
Clemson elects to stand in the zone defense, so Wake Forest is going to be able to hold the ball and then probably with about 10 seconds left start something to the basket.
Now the Deacs go into their offense with 6 seconds. 5. It's going to be up to Robert Seiler, it appears. Seiler will shoot it and hit it. And that is a 3-point shot for Robert Seiler, and the Deacs head to the locker room leading by 8. 38-30 is our halftime score, with the Wake Forest Deacons leading Clemson here at Little John Coliseum. Robert Seiler inserted.
This is not what you want in a shave. Now you've got the edge. With 6 rich lubricants. For less irritation, you've got the edge.
Die Hard, America's most trusted replacement battery. Its breakthrough design gives you more power and more confidence from the start. Sears Die Hard, more power when you need it most.
How far do you think it is? Oh, about 140 miles, and there ain't a thing out there.
Reliability isn't a sticker you put on the windshield. It's something you darn well better design in from the start.
This is far.
This is forever.
You know, we're not selling these cars to mechanics. It could be someone like your mother, and they just gotta know they won't be left sitting somewhere by the side of the road.
I mean, that's the way I would want it if I was a customer.
Hey, look at this. Civilization. Sort of.
What's that cool going down? What's that chill rushing through you? What's that takes your breath away?
ESPN's presentation of NCAA basketball, Wake Forest versus Clemson, is brought to you by General Motors. GM is putting quality on the road. And by Diet Coke. Enjoy Diet Coke. You're going to drink it just for the taste of it. So Wake Forest, despite some poor shooting in the first half, still under 40% as a team, leading Clemson on the road 38-30 as the Tigers of Cliff Ellis continue to struggle. Another ACC game in progress. Number 14 Duke playing at Maryland, and the Blue Devils have a 12-5 lead. The Terrapins have won 10 in a row at home, but the last loss came to Duke last year in overtime. Told you about the big Metro game. South Carolina ranked in the top 25 for now. They did lose to Southern Miss at home on Thursday night, taking on the Bearcats of Cincinnati. It's been all Gamecocks in the first half of this one this afternoon. Herbert Jones, though, for Cincy, driving the baseline with the dunk. But JoJo English, the man for South Carolina in the first half, moving in the paint, hitting the shot, and the foul. Now English drives to his left, goes to the baseline. Pretty little layup here. 16-zip run for South Carolina. Another hoop and a foul right there. They are at halftime. Not early in the second half now. The Gamecocks have a 55-34 victory over Cincinnati. The Bearcats have never won down in Columbia. Missouri Valley Conference game, Drake and Bradley. This is still a tight ball game. It's been close throughout, 41-39 early in the second half. Southwest Conference game, Texas A&M playing at SMU. The Ponies with a 4-point lead in the very early going of that one. Maine and Northeastern, it is 16-7 in favor of the Black Bears on their home court. And New Hampshire trying to break a 28 straight game losing streak there. It jumped out to a 9-0 lead over Vermont. The Catamounts have closed it up. Vermont, the team that almost upset Villanova at home on Thursday night, trailing by 3 points at New Hampshire. We'll keep you posted as they try to break the long losing streak. A look at Dean Smith when we come back. ACC basketball, Wake Forest over Clemson at halftime. Let's check out the top 25 menu. Vegas with the unbeaten record playing a conference road game at Fresno State tonight.
Presenting the Honda Prelude SI with anti-lock brakes. Never get behind a camera without one.
America braces for 1991. The sins of the 80s have come due. Now more than ever, a worried nation turns its eyes to HBO, where 1991 is gonna be great. There'll be uncut laughter, unbridled passion, outrageous specials, socially acceptable violence, and the biggest box office hits on television. Yes, HBO in 91, a ray of light in an otherwise yuck year.
This company basketball game is a great idea.
Yeah.
It'll build togetherness,
Friendship, team spirit.
So let's have some fun. Oh. You're all over me. Tell me, please, go to the ball, please. Stop.
If you follow me again, you're going to be looking for the ball.
There are a lot of ways to improve business morale. The best, the on-time delivery of Federal Express.
Mr. Triola?
What?
Your package from Tokyo. Have a good one.
Thank you. Federal Express, absolutely, positively the best in the business.
If you have an insurance repair on your home and you have Allstate, it's in our hands. We know some very reliable contractors. It's our business too. So if you choose a contractor we recommend, we guarantee the workmanship of their repairs for 1 year. That's why you're in good hands with Allstate. A member of the Sears Financial Network.
And welcome back. Wake Forest by 8 points over Clemson at halftime. Well, he has been a fixture in the ACC and in North Carolina for 30 seasons now. This is 30th season. Not many coaches have had a building named after them while they are still active. Just recently, Dean Smith joined the very exclusive 700-win club. Since he's not one to talk much about himself or his accomplishments, we asked some old friends and one old foe to do so.
I just made a statement. I'm going to hire another coach next year to help Coach Freeman, who wasn't feeling well. And I left the table for a few minutes. When I came back, Ben Conover said, Bob has a fellow getting out of service named Dean Smith. It was odd. They said, how do you two ever get along? Well, it was wonderful because Dean was a worker. The only complaint he ever had with me was I didn't work him hard enough.
All right, over to Delaney. 8 seconds. They got to shoot pretty soon. Here's Delaney back to Scott. Charlie's at the circle. Up for the shot, and it's good! And the ball game is over. North Carolina has won 87-85. Charlie Scott pumped it in there for the victory at the last second.
I always tell people this, even when I'm watching games and when I'm watching Carolina playing, if we're down at halftime, I never forget because he told us this when we were playing Vanderbilt in my sophomore year. We were down, I think, about 10 points at halftime. And he said, well, you know, the cream always rises to the top.
You know, when I think of Dean, I think the first thing that immediately comes to mind is consistency. Over 30 years, he's put Carolina in 24 postseason tournaments. I think they've been to 24 straight postseason tournaments, 16 consecutive NCAA trips, and 10 straight Sweet 16s, and sometimes even farther. But that's phenomenal.
Gives it back to Black with 20 seconds left to play. Goes back to Michael Jordan. Jumper from out on the left. Good! 63, 62, 13, 12, 11. Georgetown with one timeout. Fred Brown looking. Oh, way to Worthy. Worthy 5. The Tar Heels are going to win the national championship. Oh, the pass is intercepted by James Worthy.
He prepares you for life after basketball, regardless if you make it to the pros or not. You know, he's a very fair man, very understanding, and but he's also very disciplined.
It's his honesty and sincerity. He treats the 12th guy just like the first guy, and that's what we like. And Coach and his peers at the school exemplify all that. He wants you to get an education. That's his first priority. And you know, when it comes into your home, he says he'd love to have you at the university. The university would love to have you, and we would love for you to, you know, come in and get an education here, and then hopefully have a future after basketball.
He's so involved with the game of basketball, and he's such a competitor. But on the other hand, he can make you really understand what place a game of basketball should take in your life, and that's very unique.
Those of us who had a chance to know him, be closely associated with the program, we're a little bit spoiled because, one, he wins and he wins big, and he wins and wins big doing it the right way, which proves that you can do it that way.
And Smith with a young cast of players this season that could bring him another national championship before he's done. Right now, at 700 victories, he is number 6 on the all-time list. He needs 24 more wins to tie Ray Meyer, and at his current pace, the pace he's set over 30 seasons, take him about 7.5 more years to pass Adolph Rupp at 875 as number 1 on the all-time list. Back with more at halftime in just a minute. They're having fun down in Clemson. That's the Hall of Fame Bowl trophy. Unfortunately, it's now basketball season for Tiger fans.
You told me about the great jobs in the National Business Employment Weekly.
And the help in landing them. And doing better on the job.
So I really owe my new job to you?
Well...
Thank you, sweetheart.
Get the National Business Employment Weekly at your newsstand or order by credit card and get 8 issues by first-class mail for $35. Call 800-892-9000. 800-892-9000. The National Business Employment Weekly.
Don't make a career move without it.
All across America, cable TV people are getting involved, like the Cable Buddies program, helping troubled students stay in school. Or cable customer service representatives, helping the housebound just get along. Now nationwide, cable goes to school, helping kids to learn with the Cable Alliance for Education. Seems like everywhere you look, cable people are getting involved to make your community a better place to live.
Couple of quick score updates. Duke jumped out to a 9-0 lead. Right now it is 18-6. They lead. Now it's 20-11. We can update that as the number 14 Blue Devils take on Maryland. South Carolina, they've reached the second half there. They are still blowing out Cincinnati 61-42. We'll come back with more at halftime in just a minute. It's Wake Forest 38-30 over Clemson. The Tigers losing on their home court. Back for the second half in just a couple minutes.
When Bill Denby was in Vietnam, he dreamed of coming home and playing a little basketball. A dream that all but died when he lost both legs to a Viet Cong rocket. But then researchers discovered that a DuPont plastic could help make truly lifelike artificial limbs. Now Bill's back, and some say he hasn't lost a step. At DuPont, we make the things that make a difference. Better things for better living.
This is a tow truck. It makes your troubles go away. And this is a Civic 4-door from Honda. It also makes your troubles go away. But it won't cost you $10 a mile to do so.
Before they could walk, they wanted to dance. Before they could talk, they wanted to sing. But they needed a lot of heart and desire before they could get to Broadway and make it on a chorus line. Now this Broadway legend is back and on tour. But if you want tickets, get to the box office early and get out your Visa card. Because this show won't be in town long, and it won't take American Express. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
ESPN's presentation of NCAA basketball, Wake Forest versus Clemson. Brought to you by Honda, maker of fine quality automobiles. Test drive a Honda at your local dealer today. And by Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
Little John Coliseum in Clemson, South Carolina at the half, with Wake Forest leading 38-30 is our halftime score. Robert Seiler doing a terrific job for the Deacs in the first half, hitting that three-pointer at the end of the first half to give the Deacs an 8-point lead. Seiler with 15. And Bono, let's take a look at those halftime statistics sponsored by US Air.
Wake Forest, you see, only shooting 40%, but for Clemson at 39%, they were one of their last 8 from the field, taking some bad shots there as they went to halftime. Free throws, Clemson not really getting to the free throw line, which is surprising. They want to go inside to Dale Davis. That would normally create some free throw opportunities, but they just haven't been able to get it in there. You can see the turnovers really hurting the Clemson Tigers. They've turned it over 14 times, and Wake Forest has done a nice job capitalizing on those turnovers.
8 of the 14 Clemson turnovers coming from the backcourt, with Burks 5 and Bovane 3. The Deacons, as you see Robert Seiler on top, he's hit 3 three-pointers in this game so far. Rodney Rogers has scored 8. He also has 4 rebounds, 2 block shots, 2 steals, and 3 assists. Not a bad first half for the freshman from Durham, North Carolina.
No, not a bad first half at all. And with Robert Seiler, the game that he's having always makes the coach look good when you make a key decision like that to start somebody else and they produce for you like Robert Seiler's produced for Wake Forest today.
Clemson basketball as we begin the second half of play.
Man-to-man for Wake Forest. They spent most of the first half in that 3-2 zone, played very well, and it's changing as we start the second.
Inside, Tyson draws the double team. Back up top to Young. Steve Harris. Tyson. Young 4-3 with Seiler flying. And Young nails his third home run shot of the game.
Bob, that's the point that you were talking about at halftime. Clemson got a wide open three-point shot, but after some very good ball movement, they moved the defense around, created a wide open opportunity for Young. A kid who can shoot like that, it's hard to miss one of those. 2-3 zone defense once again for the Clemson Tigers.
Eric McQueen looking inside. Rogers at the high post. King on the wing. Here's Seiler. Jump passing it to King. And Chris off the mark. And Tyson another rebound.
Boy, Medlin really trying to get down the court quickly and get to Davis right away, which is a very good idea.
Turnover Tigers. Seiler to McQueen. Derek will take it in.
Turnover number 15, and the Tigers pay for it once again.
McQueen, a homecoming of sorts. He's from Darlington, South Carolina. His first bucket of the game. Deeks by 7.
Going to have to get some movement on the offensive end of the court if you're going to be able to get the ball to Davis. Davis working very, very hard against Medlin. Asking for the ball, not getting it.
Burks penetrates. Left it short.
You notice what Medlin did. He did not leave to go to Burks. He stayed right there with Dale Davis. I think Burks expected pressure and didn't get it, and that's why he missed. Excellent play by Medlin. Make Burks beat you, not Dale Davis.
A big stop for Rodney Rogers.
Game sort of slipping away from the Clemson Tigers, Bob.
42-33. Wake Forest leading by 9. The Deacons have won only 4 ACC road games in the last 5 years. Tyson's runner won't go, but a foul.
Tyson did a nice job on the boards in the first half. He had 2 field goals for 4 points. But Tyson, this has not been Tyson's kind of game. Tyson really plays effectively in the transition kind of game with a lot of penetration, driving to the basket, as he was able to do that particular time. But for the most part, Wake Forest has done a nice job keeping Tyson away from his strengths and keeping the ball away from Dale Davis.
Anthony Tucker replacing Chris King in the Wake lineup. Meanwhile, Tyson at the line and scores his 5th point of the game. He needs just 9 hours to graduate in May from Clemson University. 2 years ago, gallbladder surgery and some injury problems in his past, but this senior from Baltimore doing a terrific job for Cliff Ellis coming off the bench. 42-35. Wake Forest leading.
Clemson with that 1-3-1 half-court trap once again. Haven't really created any turnovers out of this, but seemingly when they went to it in the first half, their defensive intensity picked up.
Davis takes away that errant bounce. 42-35, Wake Forest leading.
It's one of those, he almost looked like he was trying to throw it to Davis.
Tyson on the baseline. 42-37.
Wake Forest better buckle up. If Tyson is going to start to score, he can score points in a great big hurry. Knocks that one out of bounds.
He's the team leader in steals with 23, so he can do it at both ends.
It also contributes to his offense because he steals the ball and he's off to the races down to the other end of the court, usually getting a pretty good opportunity.
Call your own number. And there's Tyson with that steal in the middle of Burks. It's tipped away, but Tyson picks it up and lays it in.
It's not exactly the way you draw it up, but Tyson gives it up and gets it back for the layup.
But like they say on Broadway, Dan, how'd you come out? Tipped out of bounds, and the Tigers get it back.
Clemson suddenly with a great deal of defensive pressure. You can see Dave Odom asking for the timeout. Burks slapped the ball off McQueen's leg and out of bounds.
From Little John Coliseum, the score 42-39 Wake Forest. And now this word from our good friends at Budweiser.
Hi, Chris Berman here. Bud Bowl 3 is coming January 27th, and you could win $100,000. That's right, $100,000. Just write down the final score on your official scorecard and send it back. Pick up scorecards and team stickers where you buy Budweiser, Bud Light, and Bud Dry Draft Beer. You might even win an official Bud Bowl 3 Wilson football. Don't pass up your chance to win $100,000. Bud Bowl 3, January 27th.
Nice pass, Chris.
What makes the Honda Accord so different? Honda's advanced technology. In fact, one of the most amazing attributes of the Accord is its ability to transport you into the future. Really, just get in and bingo, the future. Now, can your car do that?
In American business, there is an award bestowed each year upon a select group of companies. Among the 10 recipients this year, AT&T. The award? The San Francisco Examiner's Golden Turkey for the worst advertising of 1990. We at MCI are glad to have this opportunity to give wider publicity for this award.
You're watching ESPN, the Total Sports Network.
Bob Rathman, Dan Bonner back at Little John and Clemson. Most great comebacks, Dan Bonner, initiated by the defense, and that's true for Clemson.
Absolutely, Bob. And Sean Tyson, a big factor with a steal and getting the layup on the other end.
The Tigers have trimmed a 9-point Wake Forest lead down to 3.
Wake Forest now back to that 3-2 zone that served them so well in the first half. They had been in man-to-man. Burks wide open. That's the kind of shot that at the end of the first half, Clemson missed with regularity.
McQueen to the open man, Robert Seiler. Tipped, and I think they'll give it to Medlin.
That was Medlin and Tyson and Davis all right there. The ball went in the basket, so Medlin will get credit for it.
44-39, Wake Forest. Deacons trying to stop the bleeding here. This is Steve Harris. David Young connects, and that's a 3. He's hit 4 3-pointers today. Pressure by the Tigers. McQueen continues to the bucket and draws the foul.
Young is going to get the foul. McQueen penetrated past him, and then Young was off in hot pursuit, and he swung that arm hard trying to get him, and that's why he got the foul call.
Junior Chris King in, and Rodney Rogers out of the Wake Forest lineup.
After calling that timeout, Dave Odom has to be happy to see his team attack the press in that particular manner. They were really very tentative against the press before the timeout, but that time they went out and just broke the press, got themselves an easy opportunity.
Derek McQueen must have felt like he was driving in the Southern 500 at Darlington last year. He had a broken nose, an ankle sprain, a concussion in the ACC tournament in a game against Clemson. But fit as a fiddle this year and ready to go. And McQueen, one of the more underrated point guards in a league dominated by the point position.
Well, that's how you get underrated. You had a league dominated by that position. And as you say, McQueen last year was his sophomore year. He was injured much of the year.
46-42.
Wake Forest now with a little pressure. Just showing it, however, brought back into the zone.
Harris to Tyson. And he keeps a hot hand. Not this time. Seiler rebounds.
He's just much better on the run, Bob. When you get him in that set offense, he's just not as effective an offensive player.
Chris King thinks better of it and plays to McQueen. 5 minutes into the second half. Wake Forest leading by 4.
2-3 zone for the Tigers.
The shot clock now at 16 seconds. Not a great deal of movement for the Deacons.
Not going to accomplish much against the zone unless you penetrate the zone by the pass or by the dribble. That time the zone penetrated by the dribble, but the ball thrown away. And here's where Tyson's at his best.
This time it's Burks to the bucket.
And he looks like he turned his ankle a little bit as he limps back up the court. Burks had Tyson over on the other side, but the defense went to Tyson. Burks with a good decision to take it all the way to the basket.
Tigers within 2. Seiler. He's keeping on the perimeter. Tucker measures, connects. First second half basket for junior Anthony Tucker. Deacons by 4, 13:50 left. Beat the pressure. Now Harris inside the foul line. Missed it. Out of bounds to the Deeks.
Boy, that's a shot that Cliff Ellis, he and his team really have to have that particular shot. It was a very fine press attack. You get the ball about 8 feet away from the basket. That one has to go down.
David Young with it for the Tigers. He'll take a three with nobody underneath. Didn't need anybody underneath. McQueen jumping it to Seiler. Glides to the basket and puts it home.
You know, for all his knee problems, he still has some tremendous jumping ability. He just flew past Dale Davis.
In big-time trouble, and that is going to be a foul on Seiler.
How many times do you see that in a situation where the defense has a guy in desperate situation, in desperate trouble, and somebody reaches in to commit the foul? That's just a very hard thing to discipline yourself as a defensive player not to do, but an official will call that play all the time.
David Young has hit 5 3-pointers today, and that gives him 100 in his Clemson career. 50-47, Wake Forest by 3. Another bomb, but Davis is there.
Now, was that a shot or a pass?
We'll count that as an assist.
That's very generous of you. I think he was shooting that basketball.
50-49.
It was either a horrible shot or a great pass.
Robert Seiler hits a three. An answering salvo for the Wake Deacons as they recapture a 4-point advantage. 53-49. Inside, Davis triple teamed again, tried to power up and drew the personal. He hasn't touched the ball that much today, Dan, but boy, when he gets it, he really has to work.
When he gets it, he draws the crowd. But watch if you can see the reaction of his teammates here. Look at all the people coming to Davis. Where are the Clemson Tigers? They're standing around watching poor Dale Davis struggling there. Very fortunate call for Clemson to get that foul. It was a good call by the official. But Clemson, they throw the ball inside and then stand there and watch Davis. When you pass it in and a guy's going to draw that much traffic, you've got to go to a position where Davis can see and get you the ball, because there's got to be people open. Davis cannot have 4 guys guarding him and not have a couple of his teammates wide open.
Vision might be impaired a little, but somebody's got to be open.
Now, if you want the ball and you want to score, you got to get someplace where vision isn't impaired, where your teammate can see and throw you the ball.
The 10th point for Dale Davis. He has 5 rebounds today. He's led the ACC in rebounding 2 straight years and leads this year. He'll be the 4th in ACC history to lead the league in rebounding 3 times. Here's David Young. Another 3-pointer.
Well, he's feeling it.
Tied at 53. Rodney Rogers to the bucket. Knocked away in an offensive foul.
Rodney Rogers out of control right there. Dave Odom not very happy about that particular turn of events. Good play by Ricky Jones to draw the charge. 3 fouls now on Rodney Rogers.
And a timeout on the floor at Littlejohn. All even as the hot hand of Greenville, South Carolina's David Young pushes the Tigers into a deadlock.
With no down payment, Cadillac Smart Lease is very smart indeed. Because now, you can drive a sedan DeVille for just $499 a month for 36 months with no down payment. And with impressive highway mileage, an EPA estimated 26 miles per gallon highway, sedan DeVille makes your investment go even farther. No down payment and special terms. Another reason why the smart money is traveling Cadillac style.
This is never going to work. Relax. Anybody can send them roses.
Excuse me, we didn't order this. Ian, what's this?
Hi.
Did they really expect us to call them?
I'm telling you. Hello.
You know, Dad always said, Norman, you have to give 100% every day.
If you want 100% whole grain, only one of these leading cereals has it. Only Wheaties is made with 100% whole grain.
Dad also said, Norman, if you want to be a champion,
better get your whole grain.
Better eat your Wheaties. But you better never call me Norman.
You're watching ESPN, the Total Sports Network.
David Young, the story at Tiger Town this afternoon. He is the all-time Clemson leader and a personal best today. He's hit 6 3-pointers, and that's the most he's had in a game in his career. He had 5 2 years ago in the NCAA tournament against St. Mary's. And what a show he's put on for Cliff Ellis and company.
Bob, he's 6 of 8 from three-point range today. He was 4 of 4 on Tuesday against Virginia. So he's 10 of his last 12 from out there. I think I'd find him and cover him up. Back to man-to-man defense for Wake Forest.
Jones out to Burks. Penetrates the runner. No. Tip. Davis got a hand on it.
Bob, and what David Young's three-point prowess has done is it forced Wake Forest out of that zone defense where they were able to contain Dale Davis so well. Now they are in the man-to-man, and watch with the penetration here. The defense comes, Davis is able to slide around, is able to get his hand on the basketball, and if he gets it, he's going to keep it. He draws the foul. But that's caused totally by the fact that Wake Forest has to come out of that zone so they can guard David Young.
Tom Wise coming in for Phil Medlin. Phil going to the bench with 4 personal fouls.
And that really is the purpose of the three-point shot. That's why the rule was made. So that you'd have to extend the defense to cover that area and you free up the inside a little bit. And it certainly has accomplished that. That's one of the reasons why I'm so opposed to moving it any place other than right where it is.
The numbers for Davis today, 3 of 5 at the foul line. 82% foul shooter in ACC competition this year. He puts another one in.
Medlin now with 4 personal fouls, but I don't really know that that creates too big a problem for Wake Forest. They're not looking to Medlin for any scoring. Basically, they wanted him to lean on Dale Davis, and he did that. Now he's out of the game, so Tom Wise will come in and do some leaning.
And Tom's got 4 fouls left.
Look how active Clemson is on the defense, bouncing up and down. Isn't it interesting how offensive success feeds defensive intensity?
Inside Rogers, outside McQueen. Derrick will dump it low, and it's knocked away. And it's picked up by David Young. Starts the dribble. McQueen got a hand on it. Now the Tigers control.
No place to go in there.
Mulvaney, baseline, Jones. And Wise bumps him out of bounds.
Checked him out of bounds. Off the boards right there. Tom Wise scowling. In fact, looks like he got a knee in the thigh. Not only do you get the foul, but you get the injury. That shouldn't be fair.
10:51 left. 55-53. The Tigers leading. Clemson has been whistled for just 1 foul here in the second half. That's the 6th team foul on Wake Forest. Mr. Davis.
Left that one a little short, but he did not draw the same amount of attention that time that he has previously. He was actually able to get that ball and turn for his shot. Dave Odom's glad it was short, but I think he's worried about what's going to happen the next time.
Here's Tucker through Wise's hands and into the hands of Dale Davis. 55-53 Clemson. Davis. Jones battling for that rebound, but Rogers. Now to McQueen. Seiler baseline runner. Tipped by Tucker. Loose ball to the wing and Jones. Tipped from behind controlled. Young again. Good again. He is absolutely on fire. 7 3-pointers for David Young. 21 points. The Tigers lead by 5. That's their biggest lead today.
Looks like somebody's going to have to hit him in the nose while they're trying to block his shot. Blur his vision or something. Wake Forest electing to pass the ball around on the outside of the zone.
The noise level increases as the Tiger defense again. Ball hawking. Rogers scores. A big basket for Wake Forest and a foul.
And Rogers shaking that left hand. He may have jammed a finger or something. That's a very, very tough play. The defense is there. Davis over the back almost steals the ball. You see guys reaching from every direction. I think it's David Young who's going to get called for the foul.
Elsewhere in the ACC this afternoon at Cole Fieldhouse, Duke leading Maryland 38-31.
You know, a lot of people thought before the season that game against Maryland might be a gimme. Gary Williams has done a very fine job with that Maryland Terrapins.
Yes, sir. ECAC Holiday Festival champions. Here's Rodney Rogers to the free throw line. And finishes off an old-fashioned three-point play.
That's a big three-point play for Wake Forest.
Pressure by the Deeks. Beauvais getting it now to Eric Burks. The Tigers attack.
Man-to-man defense. Now Davis has gotten the ball in good position the last couple of times but hasn't scored. However, again, now that they can go inside to Davis, it's causing Wake Forest to react to that, and they're committing some fouls. That's now team foul number 8.
And a 1-and-1 opportunity for Dale Davis.
Dave Odom, as all coaches, he knows exactly what's going on. He's trying to get his kids to do it. Got a look at him there talking to Tom Wise and Phil Medlin over on the bench.
Dale Davis will get the bonus shot. We talked so much about his rebounding. I think back to the all-time ACC record for single-season rebounding. The great Dickie Hemrick at Wake in 1955 averaged 19 rebounds per game. 14 for Dale Davis.
Must have played with guys who missed an awful lot of shots.
Yeah, Packer, you know. 60 to 56. 8:50 remaining.
Wake hasn't really gotten inside that zone very often.
Childress on the baseline to Rogers. Knocked out of bounds, and a foul called on Anthony Tucker. It will be his third. A 1-and-1 opportunity for the Tigers.
Tucker tried to come from behind and make the steal once again, as we saw a couple of times in the first half. He's able to fly in for the rebound from his position on the wing on the offense. That time, however, he wasn't able to claim the rebound, tried to take the ball from behind and got called for the foul.
As you look at Dave Odom on that Wake Forest bench, the thought strikes me, Dan, there are crucial points in basketball games, and you mentioned at the top of the broadcast about how the Deacons would like very much to start winning on this road trip. There's no current Deacon that's been on a team that has won more than 3 ACC games in any one year. And there have got to be some breakthrough moments if indeed they are to climb into the upper echelon in this league. And today's game might be one of them. Can they put this Clemson rush behind them and make something positive happen?
Well, certainly the Wake Forest Demon Deacons are hoping that that is the case. You're right, Bob. If your program's going to continue to head in the direction that you want it, you've got to have some breakthrough moments.
A big double team, a loose ball, and the Tigers taken away and taken right back by Childress. And a big slam for Rogers.
You don't want to be dribbling the basketball in a crowd. You want to get the ball, pick it up, and get it out of that crowd. Burks did not do that.
62-58, the Tiger lead is for Davis.
What a pass right there. I mean, this is perfect basketball if you're the Clemson Tigers. David Young from the outside, Dale Davis from the inside.
Rogers Clemson ball. It goes back a little bit, Dan, to the old theory, take what they give you. And the Tigers have done that against Dave Odom and company today. A timeout at Little John. The Tigers lead the Deacons 5-6.
Hopkins Chevrolet Oldsmobile. There's no doubt about it. People all over the Miami Valley are buying their next car or truck from Hopkins Chevy Olds for all kinds of reasons. Value, selection, service, and a knowledgeable sales staff. Stop in, look around, and drive away in your next car or truck from Hopkins Chevy Olds, where nobody walks away. There's no doubt about it, nobody walks away from Hopkins Chevrolet Oldsmobile in New Carlisle.
Now you see it. Now you don't. Stealth technology. It will make an airplane all but invisible to radar. So if you want a career in tomorrow's technology, take a close look at the Air Force, because sometimes the biggest opportunities are the hardest to see. Aim high, Air Force.
Just when you thought the college football season was over, there's still plenty to shout about. Virginia's Sean Moore leads the nation's best talent in the Michael Japan Bowl. Saturday night at 10 Eastern, live on ESPN. Watch the Billy O Show as Syracuse takes on Connecticut. Then North Carolina's Rick Fox tries to jam NC State. Plus Stanford and UCLA go at it again. A Wednesday night triple header live on ESPN.
64-58 Clemson, and perhaps a sign of things to come in future years. Watch this move coming by Rodney Rogers. Oh, this is the turnover.
This is an excellent trap right there, but then Burks dribbles it in a crowd, and then all you can say about this is you better stay out of the way right here, and Burks very wisely does.
Rodney has scored 15 points this afternoon. And we've got a blocking foul. It's on Derek McQueen.
McQueen never really got himself set in the path of David Young, who was dribbling the ball down the court. That's now the 9th team foul. So from now on, the Clemson Tigers are going to be at the line for 2 shots at every opportunity.
To the free throw line will be David Young. This will be a 1-on-1 opportunity on the 9th foul. Then they'll go to the 2 shots. After that, Young shooting 78% of the line to lead the team. Soft touch. And why not? With the confidence he's built in today's game. A career high 24 points.
In addition to his 3-point shooting, Bob, in this second half, the Clemson Tigers have turned the ball over only twice after turning it over 14 times in the first half. So Wake Forest has had to play against the set Clemson defense just about every time down the court, and they have not handled the zone defense very well.
Robert Seiler, a turnover for the Deeks, and here comes Clemson, 4-on-1. 27 for David Young.
Seiler trying to get some penetration against his own, just forced the play that time.
Chris King got a man in the air. Tucker lays it in.
That's where Wake Forest really needs to go against the zone defense. They haven't gotten much on the inside of the zone. Good play that time.
68-60.
Did you see David Young jump over Chris King?
Yes.
He's got a guy in the air, he jumps right over him. Tucker now matched up against David Young in the man-to-man. Okay, if we're going to guard him, somebody else will shoot the ball. That was a long 3-point basket.
71-60 Clemson. Chris King rims it in. His first second-half basket. Andre Beauvais, a freshman from Columbia, South Carolina, plays to fellow freshman Eric Burks. 2 freshman guards. And
you gotta watch that 5-second count, and there it is.
And the inexperience of Burks right there. 6-minute mark.
It's one of those points in the basketball game. 6 minutes now. Clemson up by 8 points. They're trying to get themselves organized so that they run a pattern offensively, run some time, and get a good shot, and they just took too long to get set. Haven't heard very much from Robert Seiler in the second half.
After 15 first half points, a 3 early and 20 for the game. Count that basket.
Rogers has really been forced last couple minutes inside, just splits 3 guys as he gets to the basket. Very, very strong. Look here, he's got 3 guys on him. He's able to get the ball up over Jones. That foul is going to be against Beauvain, who sort of hipped him a little bit. Not nearly enough. If you're Beauvain and you're going to do that, you may as well slap him across the arms. Do something so he doesn't get the ball up on the board.
Wake Forest coach is telling us that this young man, Rodney Rogers, with all the talent in the world and motivated to get better. One of the hardest workers in practice, and a good sign indeed for the Deeks. 71-66 now. Clemson lead is 5. This game far from over. 10-second violation in the backcourt.
Well, look what you have out there, Bob. You've got 3 perimeter players. They're all freshmen. And they just don't get the ball across half court in time. Good pressure by Wake Forest.
I think Cliff wanted to put Marion Cash in the game. But he's gone.
We had a piece before the game on Vince Hamilton. I think you prefer to put him in.
Indeed. Another unforced error.
Well, that's the way it's gone for Wake Forest in the second half. Dave Odom, there he's telling everybody what happened. It just went right through his hands. They know that, Dave.
5:20 left. 71-66 Clemson.
You can't coach that. You can't coach a guy to catch the ball in a pass from 2 feet away.
David Young inside Dale Davis. All tied up.
That ball went inside to Davis after some excellent movement on offense. Very physical play on the inside. Davis battling against King. But you see, as the ball moves from side to side, King has to change his position. And Davis with the good cut. That's great job working for position now. A perfect pass inside to Davis. Rogers simply doesn't get there in time, and McQueen is going to get the foul. But when you move the defense around, those are the kind of opportunities that you can create.
2-shot fouls the rest of the way for the Tigers. Dale Davis, 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 of 9 at the free throw line. Missed that one. Beauvain got a hand on it. Loose and picked up now by Rogers. Ahead to Simon. McQueen opening in the paint and rainbows it over Davis.
Got to stop the man with the ball, but Clemson was more concerned about Rogers standing right next to the basket. McQueen taking advantage. Nice little comeback by Wake Forest. They appeared to be dead just a couple of minutes ago, but they're back in the ball game.
4.5 to play. Another Tiger turnover, albeit just the 5th of the second half.
But it's the 3rd within the last 2 minutes, Bob. They played most of the second half turnover free, but in the last couple of minutes they've started to turn the ball over again, and they've paid for it.
A 3-point miss for Childress, and Harris the rebound. 4:15 to play.
Clemson, in trying to run that passing game offense, seemingly some of the starch has gone out of their offensive play.
And a steal, but now the Tigers get it back. Young again. Oh my goodness.
That'll put the starch right back in it.
(74-68) Tigers. Inside, tipped away, but Davis on the back of Rogers picks up his second foul. The Deeks, though, a long way from getting into the bonus. Just the 4th team foul against the Tigers.
And one of the reasons for that, Bob, is that they haven't been able to attack inside very effectively.
A timeout on the floor with the score. Clemson 74, Wake Forest 68. We'll be back after these messages.
A continuous commitment to improvement. One reason why the U.S. government awarded Cadillac the 1990 Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award, as demonstrated by the new 200 horsepower 4.9-liter V8 and electronically controlled transmission that not only generate more power, but deliver the highest highway mileage of any V8-powered luxury car. Another reason why the only way to travel is Cadillac style.
Soldier Field, Chicago. Over 300 dead batteries and one die-hard battery. Our most powerful ever jump-starts every one. Die-hard. More power when you need it most.
It's powerful. It's 110% protection. Speed Stick deodorant. Made just for a man. It has no alcohol to evaporate. Its protection doesn't fade. Speed Stick, 110% protection.
Subway bakes my bread up fresh, and that's my way. My way. I get a combo seafood club the best way. My way. Subway. You leave my sub in front of me, just the way it ought to be. It's fresh and hot. I know I got it. My way. Subway. My way. Subway.
Take home a sub with lean Oscar Mayer ham or roast beef and be a hero.
Back at Little John, Bob Rathman and Dan Bonner, 74-68. The Tigers on top with 3:42 to play. And in the second half, the story for the Tigers has been David Young, 8 of 10 from three-point range. And Dan Bonner, that is a new Clemson record, most three-pointers in a game.
Young has just been tremendous. One of the other keys is Wake Forest was able to force 14 Clemson turnovers in the first half. They've only forced 5 in the second half, 3 of those coming within the last couple minutes. Wake, on the other hand, has turned the ball over 11 times in this second half. And so those have both been big factors in this game, but none bigger than that guy out there just draining them from three.
The ACC record for most three-pointers in a game is 11, established by Dennis Scott of Georgia Tech. Rebound, Davis off his leg. Tyson dives in. Still loose. Tigers have it. And they've got a break.
What a play by Tyson. That ball was Wake Forest, and Tyson just took it.
Harris into Davis, but now we have a foul on Dale. Pushed off to try to get position.
Dale Davis a little frustrated right there, as is Cliff Ellis, and well, Davis should be. He was in excellent position down inside. Harris, however, was fumbling with the basketball and wasn't prepared to pass it until after the opportunity had passed.
Steal by David Young. And the Deeks take it right back. Childress up ahead of the play, but Rogers feeds to McQueen, trailing back to Rogers.
David Young just trying to be a little too fancy with the basketball right there.
4-point Clemson lead. Tiger ball, 2:50 left. Here's Steele, but here's Burks with it. And the Deeks take it away.
Another turnover.
Chris King behind the head jams it home, and the Deeks are within 2. And Clemson's going to take a timeout with 2:37 to talk about it. Cliff Ellis at his wits' end to see his team play so well and then cough the basketball up.
Getting a little too cute. I think they felt a little confident with the 6-point lead, but just a little too cute. Now this is just a great play. Childress just knocks the ball out of the hands of Burke, and Burke battling against Rogers. Rogers is going to win that one every time. King handles the ball with the dunk for the 2 points, but that's 3 times in a row now. Clemson has come down with a transition opportunity and has kicked the ball away. We talked about how Clemson had done such a good job for most of the second half protecting the basketball. They have not done a very good job in the last 3-4 minutes of this game, and as a result, they're back in a dogfight once again.
74-72, the Tigers leading. The Demon Deacons tried to post their first win in Little John since 1984. In fact, Clemson has won 5 consecutive games in this series and 11 of the last 13. And a big ball game for both these teams because Clemson is 0-3 in the league after winning the championship a year ago. Meanwhile, the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest bidding for their second ACC win in 3 starts. David Young, the Clemson offensive story, with 8 three-pointers today and 30 points. But I'm sure in the final 2:37 he will be asked for more. A 2-point lead for the Tigers. There's the timeout situation.
Forest with that press. Boy, that's a dangerous pass by Forrest.
Young thought about it from his knees, feeds Davis. And Dale will shoot 2.
That time they handled the press pretty well. Young falls down, but makes a good recovery there to keep possession of the ball. And Dale Davis, if he's going to get the ball that close to the basket, he's either going to score or be fouled. And since Wake Forest is already over the 10 foul limit, Davis will go to the line to shoot the 2. Of course, that would have been 2 anyhow, as that was a shooting foul.
Davis missed his last 2 free throw opportunities. The man who leads all active players in the NCAA in rebounding. Pulled down 6 today.
Of course, rebounding not the facet of his game that's of crucial importance right now. You can see Cliff Ellis. Nothing you can do if you're Cliff Ellis and that fella's at the free throw line.
This one up and in. 17 for Dale. 75-72. The Deacons trailing by 3 and 2:20 left.
The story for Wake Forest has been their ability to score on the easy opportunities. They have not really shot the ball well against the set defense.
Gilbert missing the 3. Davis there to haul it in. That would have tied the game.
That's pretty good defense right there. You keep the ball on the perimeter, you get some pressure against the three-point shooter, and then let your big guy inside clear off the board.
Tigers can tend to run their offense and maybe burn some clock. But here's Tyson hitting a big basket. 1:34 left. 5-point lead for the Tigers. Whistle stops it on the baseline, and a foul on Sean Tyson.
Cliff Ellis knows that one of the problems that his team is going to face in that zone defense is if they allow the penetration. However, since that's only team foul number 6, Wake Forest simply gets another 45.
Seiler a 3 and a big bucket for the senior Deacon. His fifth three-pointer of the game. And that pulls Wake within 2. And look out for that 10-second count. And Davis
very alertly getting the timeout, but of course he's right in front of the bench and the coaches are hollering for the timeout.
Clemson has 1 remaining. 1:06 to play. 77-75. Clemson leading by 2. Tiger basketball when we come back.
Nobody is putting quality on the road like Cadillac, winner of the 1990 Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award. In fact, Cadillac is the first and only car company to earn this coveted award from the United States Department of Commerce for its world-class achievements in satisfying the customer. So in a very real way, Cadillac's success is also a victory for the American consumer. Another reason why the only way to travel is Cadillac style.
So you claim you were getting your oil changed at your GM dealership. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And how long did this take?
An hour, hour and a half.
Really? And isn't it true that the GM dealership in question is a Mr. Goodwrench Quick Lube Plus dealer? And isn't it also true that they guarantee a complete GM oil change, lube, and 10-point maintenance check in 29 minutes, or the next one is free?
Your GM dealer is serious about putting service back in the service department, so try Mr. Goodwrench Quick Lube Plus for a change.
Just when you thought the college football season was over, there's still plenty to shout about. Virginia's Sean Moore leads the nation's best talent in the Michael Japan Bowl. Saturday night at 10 Eastern, live on ESPN. You're watching ESPN, the Total Sports Network.
.106 remaining. Clemson leading by 2, 77-75. Dale Davis in a tight spot. That 10-second count was ticking down. So Clemson now with 1 timeout remaining, but now the situation changes a little bit for the Tigers, even though the shot clock shows 38 seconds.
Well, you talk about a rule that really disadvantages the defense. And there we're going to get a foul against Robert Seiler, pushing David Young down. Dave Odom is really, really upset, and he's got to be careful. He doesn't want to take himself out of the game with a technical, but you talk about a rule that disadvantages the defense. There was 38 seconds left on the clock, so therefore, had Davis not taken that timeout, here you get a look at the foul. The foul's called because Seiler's got his hands on him. Yes, he probably was going to fall down anyhow, but the fact that Seiler had his hands on him meant that that foul had to be called. But the point I'm trying to make is Davis calls the timeout. Had he not called the timeout within 3 seconds, it's a 10-second violation. But once he calls the timeout, Clemson has an additional 10 seconds to get the ball over half court.
David Young, his 31st point.
Dave Odom still mad, still barking at the referees over there.
It's a 4-point Tiger lead and 60 seconds left.
Clemson switches. They go to the man-to-man defense for the first time in a long time in this ballgame.
Seiler misses the 3, but Rodney Rogers is there to score.
Boy, what a big basket by Rodney Rogers. He just beat Dale Davis to the ball.
Wake wanted the timeout, but they didn't see him. Now David Young gets it up. Across to Tyson. Missed it. And the ball belongs to Wake Forest.
You wonder about the wisdom of Tyson in taking that shot with only 40 seconds left in the basketball game.
79-77. Now the Deacons take the timeout.
Dave Odom does not look like a very happy man right at the moment.
79-77. Clemson leading by 2. The Deacons getting that man-to-man defense. Obviously, you've got to guard from the outside in, and they want to take Seiler and the three-point Bombers out of the game if they can.
Well, obviously, the three-point shot really figures into play right here. If you're Wake Forest and you're on the road, maybe that's what you want to do. Most of the time on the road, you wouldn't see a team like hold it for one and just let it go from three-point range, and I don't think that's what we'll see Wake Forest do. Wake Forest has plenty of time, of course, in the game. Rodney Rogers is going to beat Dale Davis. You see on the baseline, Davis just didn't block him out. Rogers going to where the basketball should come off, getting a little slap in the face for his effort as Davis tries to take the ball out of bounds. For the Clemson Tigers, you want to play good defense. You want to not foul. You want to guard against the three-point shot.
Another point to consider when you're on the road. Wake Forest has the ball, 40 seconds left, shot clock dark, you're down 2. Do you play for the final shot, or do you play for the first available good shot? Get the tie and then
I really think what you have to do is play for the best shot that you can get. I don't think that in this situation, and I don't know that if you're at home or you're on the road, that it makes much difference. When you're behind at the end of a basketball game, the thing that most people would do is play for the best shot they can get. Get a look at some other ACC action, Duke over Maryland by 10. But one option that you have is to play for one and make it a 3 and just end the whole thing. You got to be a coach with a lot of job security to do that, though.
Childress. Deacons trailing by 2.
Boy, Rogers had great position inside. They see him run it down and call another timeout. Or they may be playing for one.
They're going to play for one. No timeout call from the bench. Here we go.
Well, you got to find Seiler. You got to find Seiler.
Childress. That clock ticking. He launched it and hits it, and the game's tied. And we go to overtime. The Demon Deacons. I mean, Randolph Childress has nowhere to go and nothing to do, but finally throws it at the basket, and it goes in to tie it. The Tigers did not get a timeout, and we go to overtime.
Bobby, you think back to the end of the first half, that's exactly the way Wake Forest ended the first half, trying to get the last shot of the half, totally closed off, nothing to do. In that particular situation, Robert Seiler flipped it up from three-point range and made it.
From Little John Coliseum, the score at the end of regulation, Wake Forest 79 and Clemson 79. And now this word from...
With no down payment, Cadillac Smart Lease is very smart indeed. Because now, you can drive a sedan DeVille for just $499 a month for 36 months with no down payment. And with impressive highway mileage, an EPA estimated 26 miles per gallon highway, sedan DeVille makes your investment go even farther. No down payment and special terms. Another reason why the smart money is traveling Cadillac style.
Before they could walk, they wanted to dance. Before they could talk, they wanted to sing. But they needed a lot of heart and desire before they could get to Broadway and make it on a chorus line. Now this Broadway legend is back and on tour. But if you want tickets, get to the box office early and get out your Visa card. Because this show won't be in town long, and it won't take American Express. Visa, it's everywhere.
Tied at 79 and heading to overtime. This was the shot that deadlocked the game for Wake Forest, and freshman Randolph Childress with the basketball.
Now he takes the ball in here, and he's just in a world of trouble right now. Now nobody's guarding him closely right at the moment, so there's no 5 seconds. Now Young gets on him. The 5-second count starts, but you can see there quite clearly that he only had the ball for 1 or 2 seconds. A shot that's just out of desperation goes in the basket.
The second time the Dukes have been in overtime this year. They lost a heartbreaker at Alabama. Clemson in OT for the first time this season. A jump ball to restart things, and the tug of war is on.
Now what?
And a foul called on Clemson.
Cliff Ellis very, very disgusted. He may be even more disgusted if he sees Dale Davis limping down the court. Looks like a rugby scrum in there. You can see Davis stretching out. Looks like somebody fell over across his right leg. That is team foul number 7 against Clemson. So it'll be a 1-and-1 shot opportunity for Wake Forest. Dave Odom has to feel very fortunate that he got out of that regulation alive. But you have to credit his team's defense. When they needed it, they got some steals and some easy buckets to come back in the basketball game. Some ill-advised ball handling by Clemson certainly contributed. But you talk about the character of a team, Bob, and you talked about breakthrough points and breakthrough wins. Nice comeback by Wake Forest.
Rogers misses the front end, and Davis secures the rebound. Seiler had him wrapped up, but not enough to draw a whistle. That will draw a whistle, and a foul on Chris King.
That's not a very good decision. Seiler very nearly got the foul before King got the foul. King's foul is his second. Don't really want to go after the basketball, and of all people, you don't want to foul this guy.
David Young will get 2 free throw opportunities. 6 of 6 at the line here in the ball game, and 32 points, setting a Clemson record today with 8 3-pointers. That puts Clemson on top by a point. I think Mr. Ellis might be dining on Maalox tonight. Here's the second shot, and it's good again. 34 for David Young.
You get involved in a game like this, it's probably good for him. He forgets how bad he feels.
Chris King in a double team. Now Harris comes over for some help. That clock ticking down. They've got 4 seconds to go, and McQueen wisely gets it ahead to Seiler. Refused the shot, and McQueen lays it in.
What a break for Robert Seiler. He went up, and it was just a good thing McQueen was where he was supposed to be.
Tied at 81. Foul, Childress.
Wake Forest wants that press to force a quick tempo because Clemson simply has not been making good decisions at the end of the regulation time in the transition. So they'd like to force that quick tempo, but they certainly don't want to foul. And that's what Dave Odom just told Childress when he called him over to the side.
Steve Harris, a freshman from Simpsonville, South Carolina. Short with this one, just a 52% foul shooter this year. South Carolina's Mr. Basketball last year, a high school teammate of Louisville's Everett Sullivan. He missed them both, but Tyson runs it down and saves it. Near steal by Childress. Harris has it to the wing, and Tyson. Now Clemson controlling. David Young beats it out front. Then point guard Eric Burks will set it up. 4:08 left. We are in the first overtime. Tied at 81. Clemson and Wake Forest. Tyson baseline. Dale Davis. Clemson by 2.
That offensive movement moved everybody out of there. It was one-on-one. Davis against King. Davis won, but there's Childress.
Hello. Freshman Randolph Childress hitting the 3-pointer to put the Deacons up by 1. McQueen knocks it away, but the Tigers have the basketball. 3:42 left in OT.
The game has taken on a frantic pace.
Boy, that it has.
And I think that's much to Wake Forest's advantage. Harris going out of the basketball game. Good move by Cliff Ellis to try to keep 6 guys in the game, but that's sort of against the rules.
Beauvain is in. Dale Davis with King up on him.
Well, Clemson's ball handling looks right on the edge, Bob. Even when they complete passes, they look like they're just a step away from the turnover.
Beauvain inside Davis. Powers to the bucket and missed it. Rebound Wake Forest.
Well, you don't see him miss very many of those.
And a steal.
To the way.
Beauvain to Tyson.
And a foul. Rogers gets a foul, and Dave Odoms is livid. And did they just call T on Dave Odoms?
I don't think so. Larry Rose, I could read his looks, was saying, calm down.
And you certainly don't want to call a T in that situation. Tyson bats the ball away. That's a real good play. It's right in front of Dave Odom, and he's very irritated. Now what's really going to get him is the foul call on this particular play. If you're Rogers, that's just a play you don't want to make. That guy is not, you're not going to block that dunk. He's not going to miss the dunk. You let him go. Don't want to give him 3.
Cost him a point. 86-84, Tigers by 2, 3:05 remaining in overtime. Seiler outside McLean, zips it inside to Chris King. Quadruple pump, takes and puts it home. King with 14, and the Deacons have tied it.
Now with Dale Davis standing there, a couple of pump fakes is not a bad idea.
Please bite on one of these.
It's always discouraging when he doesn't go for it.
Outside Young. Lob in, Davis. No place to go. Beauvain gets a little closer.
That's a foul on Tyson.
Tyson picks up his 4th personal foul. 2:29 remaining in overtime.
Tyson has 14 points today. 8 of those coming in the second half. Don't want to lose him. He's a powerful inside player. They could really use him down the stretch.
Rodney Rogers will be going to the free throw line for the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. A 1-and-1 opportunity for the freshman from Durham.
Rogers for 1-and-1.
The Deacons have been outstanding at the free throw line today. Rogers, the front end, in overtime, the only miss.
That's right. It was his last time at the line, Bob. He missed the shot, but he makes up for it right there. Puts the Deacons up by 1.
This one drops for him. 24 points for freshman Rodney Rogers, and a timeout on the court here from Little John Coliseum. The score, Wake Forest 88, Clemson 86.
Today, more people than ever are getting a kick out of this hot shot. Interstate batteries hit the road fast with all the cranking power and reserve energy you need for even the worst curves in the weather. And Interstate has twice as many dealers than any other battery company in America, so you're never left stranded. For an Interstate battery dealer near you,
All you got to do is call 1-800-CRANK-IT. Get the power that goes on and on and on, yeah.
You know, Dad always said, Norman, you have to give 100% every day.
If you want 100% whole grain, only one of these leading cereals has it. Only Wheaties is made with 100% whole grain.
Dad also said, Norman, if you want to be a champion,
better get your whole grain.
Better eat your Wheaties. But you better never call me Norman.
The Clemson Tigers have the basketball, and 2:29 remaining in the first overtime, trailing Wake Forest by 2, 88-86. Bob Rathman and Dan Bonner at Little John Coliseum in Clemson, South Carolina. And the Deacons with all court pressure here on the pass-in.
Just as Clemson's pressure helped Clemson get the lead in the game, this Wake Forest full court pressure has really helped them set the tone of the game, and it's made it difficult for Clemson down the stretch.
The Tigers need a field goal to tie it. A three-pointer would put him up by 1.
Nice job by Wake Forest. It took Clemson a long time to get set in the offense. Haven't heard much from Young lately.
Tyson gets free and spins it in.
Good pass. Young with the penetration, gets the help. Tyson cuts to the basket.
Tied at 88.
Man-to-man defense by Clemson.
Rogers draws Davis defensively. Young on Childress, got a piece of it. And Clemson rebounds.
Of course, Childress made the shot that tied the game and then hit a big three-pointer here in the overtime, but that was probably not a very good decision. Dave Odom, I think, would have preferred the ball go inside to Rogers or to King.
Clemson can take the lead with a bucket here. Young outside. This is Beauvais. And King rebounds.
Good rebound by King. Dale Davis in pretty good position inside, not able to get it. That was a two-point shot by Beauvais. He had his foot on the line.
The game clock in the lower right corner. The shot clock at 33 as Derek McQueen operates for the Deacons. Tied at 88. Here's Seiler. Guarded by Beauvais. King guarded by Tyson. Outside Rogers. A long three. Missed it. Rebound. Loose. Picked up by... Well, Tyson had it for a moment. Now Childress has it. The Deacs with 44 seconds left in the game. Tied at 88. Outside, Seiler. Now to King in the baseline. Chris to the bucket and a block by David Young and a foul.
Bob, the interesting thing about that, the shot clock was off at that point, and I think that Dave Odom was trying to get a timeout. Just wasn't able to do it. His team playing very, very hard. The pass by Seiler. King with the fake beats Tyson along the baseline. That's always a very difficult help play. Young trying to make the play, just not able to get there in time.
That's the 9th team foul on Clemson this half, so a 1-and-1.
Well, of course, it's a shooting foul, Bob, so he's going to go to the line for 2. Point there is the next foul. Will be 2. A couple of big free throws here.
Chris King was 2 for 2 before that miss. Each team with 2 times out remaining.
Want to make sure that you get blockouts here.
King gets this one. And Clemson will burn a timeout. They have 1 remaining. Wake Forest has 2. Chris King getting the free throw to put the Deacons up by 1, 89-88, and 38 seconds to play. Of course, ACC fans, when you talk overtimes with Wake Forest, remember back a couple of years ago when they went 4 overtimes against NC State in the Greensboro Coliseum. Now, if you're Cliff Ellis, Dan Bonner, you've got to think just exactly which way to go. Obviously, Dale Davis inside is your first inclination, but you've also got a couple of other weapons. David Young has had a sensational game, and Sean Tyson may be the X factor because he can go inside and outside.
Well, that's true, Bob. The one thing that you have with Dale Davis and going inside to Dale Davis, number 1, that's a play that everybody's going to be looking for, so he's probably going to be covered up pretty well. But number 2, even if you get it inside to Dale Davis, he's not necessarily a good free throw shooter. And if you're Wake Forest in this situation, even though a foul will be 2 shots, I think that you would much prefer to foul Dale Davis and have him operate down inside looking for the basket. You do have the weapon of David Young, who has played so very well today. Clemson does have some good shooters. I think what you've got to make sure that you do in this situation, given the way Clemson has played, they lost the lead because they didn't handle the ball very well. So if you're Cliff Ellis, the first thing you want to do is get the ball up on the offensive end in good situation. And then I think what you'll see is try some type of inside-outside combination. Get the ball to Davis, draw the defense. If the defense comes to Davis, kick it back outside for the open jump shot. There you can see each team at the 10-foul limit. Wake Forest with 2 timeouts. Clemson with 1. And of course, if there's a held ball situation, the ball's going to go to Clemson on the alternating possession. So I think if you're Cliff Ellis, I don't think you're going to set the play so that one of the freshmen, Beauvais or Burks, is going to shoot the basketball. That may be the way it ends up, but your first concern is to get the ball up in the offensive end.
First concern is to get it over the timeline.
That's right.
Here's Dale Davis taking it upon himself to do just that. Now he needs some help, and the 5-second count begins as soon as he gets across midcourt. Timeout, Clemson.
That's what we were talking about, Bob. You can say all you want about what kind of a play you set up, but until you get the ball in the offensive end of the court so you can run your half-court offense, you're out of luck. And particularly when you're down by 1 point, that's great defensive pressure by Wake Forest. Clemson was nowhere close to being able to set up any kind of a play. They burned their last timeout. Good defense. Now you have the ball in the offensive end. You're going to be able to make an inbound entry that hopefully will just get you into your offense. And I think in this situation, we're looking for Dale Davis or we're looking for David Young.
The premium, of course, will be on the ball handling after the pass in. The Deacons have shown that they can get in those passing lanes and play some pretty good defense, just as they showed in the backcourt a moment ago. And you're counting on some freshmen sometime in this possession to handle the basketball with pressure.
Now here's what we're talking about. Davis has the ball very smartly. Nobody really picks up Davis until he starts dribbling the ball. Wake Forest does an excellent job keeping the ball out of the hands of the Clemson ball handlers. Still doing it. Look at Seidel. That's a great job. Then McQueen gets over there. Pretty good job by Burks. That's a very intelligent play to go and just take the ball out of the hands of your big guy, but for some reason Davis was reluctant to give it up and therefore calls the timeout. But that's just a great play by Wake Forest. Enter the ball in bounds when Clemson throws it back to Davis, cut off the ball handlers, and then see what Clemson is able to do, and they were not able to do very much. They burned 13 seconds off the clock. There's 25 seconds left in the game. Wake Forest leads by 1. And the other thing in this situation, this game has sort of been a game where a lot of crazy things have happened in terms of, and as an over and back, talk about crazy things. Oh, good heavens.
Burks jumps over the line. All he has to do is walk back to the backcourt, and it's no violation, but he jumped over the line after getting possession of the ball, and that's a violation.
Now, Clemson does not have any timeouts left. There's Young going to get the foul. Just as I was saying, crazy things have happened in this basketball game. How much crazier is that? Of course, that's the rule. When you jump, you are where you came from. And so this is what's going to happen here as Young throws the ball. Burks, now look where his feet are. They're in the front court, and then he jumps and he comes down in the back court. That's an excellent call, an over and back violation. You just can't be playing around with that line. The freshman has to know you get down there, and if you got to catch the ball in the back court, you catch it.
Childress hitting the free throw. Hadn't scored all day, hadn't played that much, but hit the 2 to send it into overtime. A big three-pointer in the extra period, and now a free throw that puts the Deacons up by 2.
Boy.
Hits them both. And now Wake Forest will take a timeout, leading by 3 and 23 seconds to play. Something tells me some more crazy things might happen here, Dan Bonner.
Well, if you're Wake Forest, the one thing that you have to be concerned about is obviously they need a three-point basket to tie. But there's still plenty of time left in this basketball game, and you don't want your team thinking so much about the three-point shot that they give up the very quick 2. I don't think Clemson in this situation has to go for the three-pointer. They've got time. If Wake Forest allows them to get it down, get the quick 2, get a foul. You still have plenty of time left in the basketball game. So I think what Dave Odom is doing is a couple of things. Number one, they're aware that they've got to guard that three-point shot. But number 2, I think they want to make sure that they keep the good pressure against Clemson to actually force them to take that shot. You don't want to let them get it up and get a quick and easy 2.
When you talk about three-pointers at the end of the game, I can't help but think back to Clemson in the NCAAs last year. David Young would have been one of the all-time Clemson heroes. Hits the shot against Connecticut with like a second to go that put him ahead, only to see that erased by Tate George in that last second shot, and Connecticut goes on to the Final 8. And the way David Young's been shooting the threes today, the range is of no consequence.
Bob, we're talking about threes and we're talking about crazy plays. Clemson is obviously down by 2, but think about the 5 points that Wake Forest has gotten on desperation last-second shots. The three-pointer by Seiler at the end of the first half, the two-pointer by Childress at the end of the game that tied the score. Had those 2 shots not gone down, Wake Forest wouldn't even be in this position. And here's the good pressure.
Davis brings it up.
Davis is not going to beat you from three-point range, although he's going to try. Are you kidding me?
Air ball. Rebound Wake Forest, and a foul on Dale Davis.
And you can see Cliff Ellis just slump on the bench. I don't think for 1 second that that's what he told his team to do. You know.
The first three-point opportunity of the season for Dale Davis, and
he's got to. Cliff Ellis has got to be very, very disappointed. His team seemingly had this game in the bag, threw it away with some questionable ball handling at the end of regulation, and now that's the perfect defensive play if you're Wake Forest. Make Dale Davis handle the ball, bring it up the court, and as long as he's not close to the basket, pay no attention to him.
Robert Seiler misses. So still some tension here. Seiler needs to hit this one to give Wake a 4-point lead and protect them against the three-pointer that would tie the game. He hits it. And there's where that new rule certainly comes into effect. Under the old rule, that would have been the front end of a 1-and-1 and a miss, and Clemson might have had an opportunity. But the fact that Seiler had the 2 and knew it when he stepped up to the line takes a little bit of the pressure off, and he comes back to hit the second one. 24 points for Robert Seiler today and 12 seconds remaining. The Deacons now with a 4-point lead, 92-88.
And Clemson has no timeouts remaining. So if you're Wake Forest, it doesn't really matter what Clemson does, whether they make a 2-pointer or a 3-pointer, as long as it takes them at least 7 seconds to do it. Because if they do, you get 5 seconds to get the ball in bounds. Clemson has no timeouts to stop the clock. So it doesn't really matter what happens here if you're Wake Forest, as long as whatever you let Clemson do, you require that it takes 7 seconds to happen. Last thing you want to do is foul anybody in the act of shooting a 3-pointer. We're talking about Dale Davis taking a 3-point attempt. You can see right there from the replay that wasn't even a 3-point attempt. His foot was on the line. That's what happens when you have some 6'10" guy out trying to shoot a 3-pointer.
And I couldn't see the total picture in the corner, Dan, but it looked like Sean Tyson was wide open in the corner, in the left corner. Now the Deacons will try to play as good a defense as they can. Let Clemson, or try to get Clemson to burn some clock time, but not foul.
Well, there's nothing wrong with the strategy that they employed before, and that is make Dale Davis handle the ball.
They will not guard the man throwing the ball in, Colby Brown. Play 5 on 4 at the other end. The long lob comes to Davis, and it's intercepted by Rogers. 8 seconds, and now the foul. Rogers getting wrapped up by Dale Davis. 7 seconds to go, and Rodney Rogers will be at the foul line for Wake Forest.
I think a very important win for that man right there. Some pretty good defensive strategy in the last few minutes of this basketball game by Wake Forest.
24 points for Rodney Rogers today, along with 8 rebounds.
And what a second half he had. Robert Seiler sort of got the Demon Deacons off the mark, but in the second half, when they really needed him, Rodney Rogers really came through.
Counting the overtime, Rogers with 18 second half points, make it 19. The Deacons will lead Little John for the first time since '84 with a victory. Burke's shot won't go, and that's it. A big win for Dave Odom and the Wake Forest Demon Deacons in overtime. The final, Wake Forest 93 and Clemson 88.
So a nice win for Wake Forest. They only won 4 road games in the ACC in the last 5 years. They moved now to 2-1 in the conference. Discouraging for Clemson. They blow the game late in regulation. Looking ahead at their conference schedule, they're at Georgia Tech, then they have Duke and Carolina at home. Things are only going to get rougher for Cliff Ellis. Another ACC game in progress. Duke has been all over Maryland all afternoon, but Maryland has tightened things up. It is 72-60, about 8.5 minutes to play in that ball game. A final from South Carolina. The Gamecocks win it easily over Cincinnati behind 29 points for JoJo English. South Carolina moving to 12-3. College hoops continue tomorrow. 1 o'clock Eastern time tip-off for the Billikens of St. Louis against UAB. The Billikens winning in the wee hours of the morning on ESPN over Southern Illinois last night. That will do it for today's college basketball. Once again, in overtime, Wake Forest beating Clemson 93-88. The National Snowboarding Championships are next. So long. ESPN's presentation of NCAA basketball, Wake Forest versus Clemson, has been brought to you by Cadillac and your local Cadillac dealer. Discover why the only way to travel is Cadillac style. And by Mr. Goodwrench, the GM service expert at your participating GM dealer.